And I'm Kevin Leung, and I'm from Hong Kong. So maybe I'm new face here, and so I'll give a brief introduction of myself. Well, my name is Kevin Leung, and I'm a freelance developer since this year, April. And before that, I've been working in a startup company that writes some mobile apps. And way before that, I am actually working in an Asian company in Hong Kong, and I was an actuary. Yeah, before that, yeah. So currently, I mostly work on app servers, and apps and games, and I've been playing around with Haxe since 2014. Yeah. So today I'm going to share my experience with using Haxe for web development and app development, because most people perceive Haxe as a language for writing games because of its cross-platform capability, and so I'm going to bring a new whole direction for you guys to know that Haxe can be used for other purposes. So here I will introduce what development stack I use for different kind of projects. For app servers, I will usually target Node.js, and I mainly use ThinkWeb as my library. And for web app and mobile app, I will target JS, and then I will use Coconut, ThinkWeb, and for web, I will use the Semantic UI, which is a CSS platform, very similar to Bootstrap. And for mobile, I will use React Native. And yeah, I understand that there's some rumors or some advice about React Native not very good for startup, but I still use it because it is I think the best option out in the wild for the current situation. And for game, I will target JS and C++ with the Lux game framework. And for dependency management, I usually use Lex nowadays, which has been introduced by Ulai, right? And for testing, I have written my own framework. It's called Think Unit Test, and I will give a brief introduction of these things in my following slides. Yeah, here is a list of my projects I've been done before. The first one is called Cheetah. It's a local transportation app in Hong Kong, which is very similar to Uber. And at that time, I used Ufront for that, but it's been discontinued mostly because of legal concerns. Because in Hong Kong, it's illegal to earn money by driving somebody's, except you have license like taxi license. So we have terminated that project, and I've shipped a game for Sony in Hong Kong, the ACG Hong Kong, which is an animation, comics, and games exhibition. So there, Sony has a marketing booth. They're a very big booth, and for one booth there is a big screen standing in front of the booth, and then people just come and play a little game, and they will earn some small gifts. Yeah, this one is released, and I use Lux for that. And below that, there are some still in development projects. So I cannot really disclose much details for them, but I will still try to introduce them. First one is my name is Project O. Is a internal registration system for my church. So people can do some registration online and then do some so to reduce some manual works for the people. And there's another project. Project I is an instant messenger, and it's in development, but I've left that company before I can finish it. And it's a mobile app and an app server. Yeah, and for Project L is a review platform, and it's kind of people buy products and they want to give reviews, give comments, and then they will they can use this app and to give comments to the manufacturers, to the company, so that they can collect more reviews from the users. Well, Project D is an admin panel for IoT products. You know, those smart stuffs. So when you have a lot of smart devices, you will need a admin panel to manage all of them. So it is a web app with a app server. And the last one I'm working on is a pet service app, and it is I mostly work on the app server because the mobile app will be prepared by another developers who writes in Java and Objective-C for the native app. So you can see that most of my works is about apps and app servers. For app servers, I've been deployed on various cloud platforms such as Google Compute Engine, or Heroku, AWS Lambda, or Google App Engine. And for all this, I have deployed UFront on it. I have deployed ThinkWeb on it, and I will give some example later. So here I introduce the main library I used for my app server, which is ThinkWeb. What's good about it is it is async, and so it works pretty well with the Node.js runtime, and the RESTful API is seamlessly integrated in the Haxe language. In the below, I have a code strip here for demo purpose. So you can see that here it is. Well, let me get a pointer. So here is a get command, and the path is a slash. So it is at the root level. So when you open a browser and then access the roots of the domain, it will run this command, run this function, and then what it does is to access the database, and then when it gets some data, it will respond with a list of product responses. So all kinds of them are strongly typed, so you cannot make this mistake in between. So if I've declared function that will return a list of products, and I have to do that inside the function body. And what's good with ThinkWeb is that the responses are strongly typed, and it's automatically encoded into, for example, JSON, so that I don't have to prepare the JSON myself. I just has to reply to prepare an object, a Haxe object. Also, authentication and authorization is built in, so you can see that there is a restrict metadata here. Well, what restricts means is that when the parameter here resolves to a true, it will get passed and the function will run. And if anything else like false, then the function will not be run, and the client will receive a 403 forbidden response. Yeah. So in here you can put anything, like accessing a DB to see if the user is an admin, is a super user, is he male, female, or whatever. You can do that inside there. And for mobile app, currently I mainly use Coconut. Coconut is here's a taste of what Coconut is. It is very similar to React, if you guys have experience about that. And yep, it works well with React Native. Yeah, and because Coconut itself is just a framework about combining rendering data into a hierarchy of views, but the actual rendering has to be done by some other libraries. So in mobile, I will use React Native, and on web, I will use the VDOM, the library. So here's a taste of it. It's strongly typed. All this style, all these attributes like user here, they are all strongly typed. So you have to make sure that you give the correct type into the attribute. Otherwise, the compiler will just complain. And whoops. Yeah, and all of the control structures are embedded. So you can see I do some if else here, if else, or switch cases here. So it would be pretty handy if yeah, if you can do that within the rendering code directly. So yeah, and the final point is that it's pure hex and no hex needed. So yeah, so I've tried some other hex libraries, but usually you have to do some hacks here and there, so you can do some edge for some edge cases. But so far I haven't really met that cases in Coconuts. And here I will show you a demonstration of what can be achieved by Coconut. It is actually some related to the same project. This code is going to generate an app similar to this one. So let's see how it goes. Sorry for being Chinese because I don't want to leak too much information to the public. Yeah, so you can just swipe and then click for another page, change the language, and it become English. So yeah, so very short demo. So yeah, that's what can be achieved with Coconuts. Oops. Yeah, the next point I come to testing. What I do is I use 10 unit tests for all my testing. What's good for is that it supports async. So if your test is about querying some database which is not sync, you can still do that. But note that it does not magically create an async environment for you. So if you are in Java or Netcode or some other targets, that you may have to use the new main loop class to build an async environment so that it will work. Yeah, it's simple and does the job. So yeah, I've tried some other testing frameworks, but somehow I don't know, because the way how they set up or whatever, just I don't really have very good experience with them, so I have built it from scratch for myself. So if you guys have interested, you can have a look. Here is how it looks about the test. This test is for the 10 HTTP library. On the right side is the source code of the test, and the left side is the actual outcome of the test. So you can see that each test, this method test is this method test, and there are some variants. I'm going to test all the 5 common HTTP methods, like get, post, patch, delete, put, and yeah, correspondingly here is the 5 testing outputs, and all the instructions are come from here. Yeah, here, echo query get a is equal to 1, and echo query get a is equal to 1, and actually it's 1 equal to 1, so it is a passing test. So everything is mapped very nicely, and all the outcome is summarized at the last line. Yeah, origin test and origin test here, and all the line numbers are shown to you, so for easy finding where source code is. Yeah, here comes a game. I have not much coding example for code for the game, but it's just Lux. Here is the ACG game I have introduced on the first line. So have a look what it looks like. So here is 2-screen game. The main screen is here. That will have a big screen standing on the booth, and the players will have their own mobile phone being connected to the game, and then they can control the game. Let's see what I can do. So it's the main game, and it's a controller. It's a mobile phone, just my phone. And then when you click on the center, we'll start the game. And yeah, the technology between the communication is done by WebSockets, and yeah, there are a lot of it's just a dumb game, but the people on the marketing campaigns, they only want simple games. Yeah, yeah, just collecting some games by rotating the phone, and then when it ends, you show the score on the game and show the score on the screen on the mobile phone. So everything is done by, WebSocket and some tank libraries in between. Yeah. Oops. How do I? Yeah, here comes what I like about Haxe. First, it's strongly typed, so I don't have to worry about runtime, capture all the errors at compile time. As much errors as I can, so I don't have to worry about the runtime. So it's much easier with refactor code. So when I change one variable name, it will just complain if I forget to change in other places. And macro is like black magic. It saves a lot of boilerplate codes. Like for example, when I have to write an HTTP handler, it will have to validate the parameters, the bodies of the incoming HTTP request. In the old ways, if we are like using Express.js, the body is passed as a dynamic object, and I have to check each field manually, write the code. If body, the name field is empty or is string is integer, I have to check them one by one, write all the boilerplate codes. But with macro, I can just pass in the type of the expected parameters, and I'll generate all the validating codes. And in ThinkWeb, actually, it is supported by ThinkJSON, and ThinkJSON is a validating parser. So while it's parsing, it's already validating the body. So it's big plus here. And abstracts are really good for like method overloading, quoted. So by implicit cast, it also saves a lot of codes. And code we use is very useful for me as well. It's crucial for small teams. I am a one-man team, so if I have to write the same code again and again at different platforms, it will be just kill me. So I have to, we use all the code for for server, for app, for game, whatever. Well, last point is cross-platform. It's not as useful as in game development, but because I don't have to target multiple servers at the same time. I don't have to deploy Node server, Java server, PHP server at the same time. But yeah, it's still useful in the sense that when I am restricted by the runtimes, for example, when I wanted to deploy on Google App Engine, the free servers only supports PHP and Java. And if I have to write a server in PHP, I will have to learn a whole new set of APIs or things. But with Think or with Haxe, I can simply replace implementation of the server, and then everything else, all the routes or the handlers will remain the same. Yeah. I'm going to show you what that means, what I can do with a PHP server. Anyone has used Telegram? You know what Telegram is? It's an instant messenger, and it supports bots. So you can write a server that does something like, so I have a girlfriend helper bot here. So when I want to praise her, I will just praise, and then just generate a list of you're cute, you're beautiful, these things. Okay, it's just for fun with my girlfriend, but love is not done in a machine like that. So just for fun. But yeah, it's useful, and I use it sometimes. Yeah. That's deployed in PHP on Google App Engine, and for other servers, I do it in Node.js mostly. Yeah, here are some wishes for me about Haxe. Well, I hope there are better documentations, because since I use Haxe, I have developed a new skill, which is called sources is the documentation. I just when I have to know what the code does, I just go straight into the source and look what it's doing. So it's good to have documentation, but apparently most hexers doesn't write human language. So yeah, the next thing I wanted is high quality experience. I would like to see something like definite type, as in TypeScript, but I understand that requires a lot of efforts. But yeah, I think we can try to collaborate the forces from the community, because myself, I write some experience, and I know somebody's on here also do write some experience, especially for JS. So if we can collect them all, and we'll be much better. Well, I would like to see more all-target libraries as well, because if we do have such libraries, we can reuse the same toolset or the same skills when we switch targets. For me, like writing, sometimes I write Node.js servers, sometimes I write PHP servers. Well, this is very important. I would like to have the JS output split it per class by the compiler, and because it's very crucial for the React Native projects. Because on React Native, if you compile the JS source as a single file, it will take like randomly, I think, 30 seconds or 1 minute to reload to the phone or to the simulator. So if I can split the output, the React Native packager will be able to cache some of the unchanged files, and then the reload time will be bring down to like 1 second. So recently, I have written a new library which is named hxgen.js, which can do this, but it's not very fast because it's run on macro. So if it could be built into a compiler, it would be very nice.
You should talk me through that over the ES6 timing.
Yeah. So yeah, well, join my workshop on this afternoon. I will talk about how to use ThinkWeb as a beginner, from scratch, and you guys will have some hands-on experience with it. And next one is okay. Any questions? Yep.
Do client servers try to dictate what technology you use? Because one thing that I always worry about is if people always hear this technology or that technology, and they want it written using that, and if they know that you're using Hex, they're like, what's Hex? Do you ever have to sell the idea of Hex to someone you're building a app for, or?
Well, mostly because they don't really care about what technology you're using. Because what most project I do is either short-term marketing campaign projects like the Sony game is short-term. So as long as I can deliver the product, they're okay. And for others, there are some startup company or they want to build a new app, whole new app. So they don't really care about what technology you use as long as you can build it fast and you can do the job. So far it's okay for me because I'm just freelance. And yeah, I think it's a bit concern for big companies if they want to very long-term investment on it. But so far for me it's okay. And any other questions?
Why did you use the Leung engine for the game? You consider other engines?
Yeah. In the past, I write Flash games, so that's why I'm attracted to the Haxe language because it's very similar. And when I first came to Haxe, I used OpenFL, but at that time the HTML5 support is not very good, and there are some bugs here and there. So I'm looking for another very more robust engine for HTML5 because I mostly deploy on the web, and Lux is quite good on that aspect. So yeah, but I'm not sure because OpenFL has improved a lot for the past few years. So I may one day we'll go OpenFL and see. So any more questions? Okay, thank you very much.